were not here last week, I'm really sorry. Not that I take credit for it, because I'm not, but I am really sorry because some cool things happened last week, and I know that other people experienced some stuff as well. We did worship for like an hour and a half. I cried throughout the entire thing because I was in physical pain the whole time. And God gave me this, for those of you that weren't here, God gave me this picture, and he showed me, and we sang this song about I surrender, but not really with the old mindset of surrendering. Like I used to think that meant surrender your gifts, surrender your talents, surrender your dreams and your aspirations, surrender whatever you think you're called to, like, your pride and selfishness. But it was more like God speaking to me about surrendering all the things that have caused separation, all the things that have been suppressing the manifestations of God. So if you've been in this church for a little while, you're hearing more and more and more and more that heaven is inside of you. It's not some destination that you're trying to get to. That the resurrection power of Jesus lives in you. And that the earth waits and groans for the manifestations of God. And so we sing these words and we hear them on Sundays, but we're really, if you're willing, coming into the understanding, what does that mean? And if I'm not experiencing heaven manifesting in my life, then what's my part in that? Not somebody else's part. It's not their fault that you're not experiencing heaven. That is only each of our own responsibility, right? And so there's ownership in the kingdom of God. And sometimes that's kind of scary, but I promise you it's rewarding, because then you're empowered, and then you know where your source truly is, and then you know how to go back to your source anytime you need to go. If not, you're always relying on someone else to get you a word. You're always relying on someone else to bring you water. You're always relying on someone else to feed you, and then we don't have anything to give the earth. So therefore, there's no manifestation. And so I talked about a few things like that last week, and what God was showing me is I was like, okay, God, I've had some chronic pain for 11 months in my neck, okay? And so if you are saying there's resurrection power in me, why is it not manifesting in my life? And I won't go, I mean, I could spend forever doing this, but me and Monica are kind of tag teaming this morning, so that means I can stay up here as long as I want. Just kidding. Okay, so I was like, okay, so what am I not taking ownership of? Not waiting for someone to lay hands on me, not waiting for a word, not waiting for something to finally click. And anyways, and he just showed me and he said, Josie, there's these fears, there's insecurities, there's these belief systems and filters that are suppressing your spirit. So it's there. Here's the resurrection spirit of Jesus in Josie. That's one. I'm not meant to live in chronic pain. So if it's not manifesting, I said, why? And he showed me this fear that was literally just suppressing it. Once I take ownership and responsibility that I was the one choosing to suppress it, immediately it can be broken, okay? And that's what I spoke on kind of last week. So last week, I'm crying and I'm telling you guys what God's showing me about surrendering. That trauma, the history, something a memory that's always there, that pattern that always shows up, whatever it is. And that literally in the things we white knuckle, right? Those are the things that are stopping the manifestation of prosperity in your bank account. That's it. It's not a new job. I'm not saying a new job wouldn't come, but we look external for answers that are really just internal. Right? So I'm looking for a job to get me out of debt instead of going, I manifest wealth, I create wealth because the kingdom knows no lack. And so because I ignore that ownership, then I don't see the business that I can create. I don't see what I'm capable of. I'm looking for someone else to own me and pay me. Anyway. Yeah, this is how God speaks to me. Okay, so listen. When I talk to you guys, I know I'm Darren and Sheila's daughter, and sometimes we speak just straightforward and straight up, right? And you're like, wow, could you candy coat it a little bit? So when I speak so absolute, this is how me and God communicate. That doesn't mean that he speaks to you that way. So you just take it, and then you take it to God and say, God, what does that mean for me? Okay? So with this, as I'm crying last week, and I'm like, you know what? I'm finally willing to face this fear. So I'm going to tell you a little story. So last January, some of you know the story because I spoke on a Wednesday night a couple weeks ago. Last January, I decided to start writing music, and I started writing country music. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just writing, and then my dad's like, let's record it. And I was like, okay, why not? So I start recording it, and next thing I know, I have this severe neck pain. Out of nowhere, right? I don't know what it is. It's affecting my throat, my vocal cords. Every time I went to Nashville, I'm in tears. I've been taking all these different kinds of pain relievers nonstop, and I am not a person that takes medicine. I don't take Western medicine. I just I have a thing with it, and I'm like, no, that's not the kingdom way. So I'm not used to taking medicine, so it makes me kind of loopy. So anyway, but 11 months later, right? So I went to some chiropractors. I had an x-ray done. The pain's getting worse and worse. Now I can't work out. It's March. I work out all the time. So that did something in me. And I just kept tolerating the pain, right? Really, I was just avoiding what the pain was attached to. Pain is only showing its face to expose the issue and the problem, because it wants you to be free. You are meant to be free sons and daughters. You are not meant to walk in pain. You are not meant to live out of your hurt and your pain of emotional, physical, mental, whatever it is. It's not the kingdom way, right? And God keeps using this phrase with me, the kingdom way. The kingdom way. We're coming into Christmas, the kingdom way. Who is the king and what is his way? As a baby, he operated in more wealth than I have in the last 30 years of working for it. What is the kingdom way? So anyways, I kind of just tolerated the pain, tolerated it. You know how we just tolerate stuff? We tolerate abuse in a relationship. We tolerate our loved one talking to us that way. We tolerate people crossing boundaries. We just tolerate stuff until then we're so full of resentment and bitterness, then we explode. And then it looks like you're the problem. Anyway, so I just kept tolerating it until it got so bad in the last 3 weeks, I've literally just been on my floor. I'll get up 20 minutes. You guys, social media, I'm not trying to put it all out there. It looks like I'm just living this great life and I'm always happy. I'm crying in all those pictures. 20 minutes, I'm up doing the tree, and then I'm on my back crying. And I'm just getting more and more fed up. But this is what I want to tell you. God is okay with you getting fed up. Because when you finally get fed up is when you finally face, is it Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror? All right? You finally face the man in the mirror. That is your only limitation. That is it. Not your spouse, not your dad that did you wrong, not the last preacher, not the CEO of that company. It is you, and you is your only limitation, right? In every area, not only physically, emotionally, financially, but spiritually. We are the ones that suppress the kingdom of God that's in us right here, right now. So with that said, last week, God was like, all right, you ready to face it? Okay. And he had shown me, this was layers. I can be a little stubborn. I can take a little bit longer of a process than I need to, right? 11 months is enough. I'm like, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. For me, which they told me this, I had a bicycle wreck when I was 8 years old. And I flew off into this ditch and landed in a 6-foot ditch and landed on my chin. I had just taken my training wheels off. And I looked at my dad and I said, I can do it. Took off, landed in the ditch. ER, all that, I just got stitches. It should have broke my neck. They had to strap me to the bed because I was freaking out. My dad was standing in the room. My mom couldn't handle it. And I screamed for him. And in my mind, he never came for me. There's the first lie that has affected me the last 20 years. So then I took that to God. So then that one moment, I believed you're not going to come for me when I need you. So I will protect myself. Okay, so there's one lie. This is just an 8-year-old kid, right? So 2 years ago, I get this word, and my dad said, there's something that happened to you at 8 years old, and until you deal with it and let it go, you can't walk in the fullness of who you are. For 2 years, I'm going, I don't know what happened to me at 8 years old. God, you're going to have to show me. Anyways, and so long story short, I go to get this x-ray for my neck, and they're like, well, your neck is supposed to be like this, but it do like that. And you must have had some kind of trauma to your neck. And immediately, well, it was during worship, God said, that's the 8-year-old girl. The trauma was my physical body, but it didn't manifest in my physical body until I started pursuing music. And the reason why I started manifesting then is because as I started pursuing music, I started pursuing something that was taking the training wheels off. Literally, my last boss, he called me and he said, I just want to tell you that God said he's taking your training wheels off. This is like 3 months ago. So I know here, I'm like, okay, this is no coincidence. I'm watching a TV show the other day, and they literally started talking about how trauma, your body, stores it as memory. So you can feel pain because the sound of someone you know hurt you, and then 20 years later, someone walks into your life that sounds like that person, and immediately your physical body can start to react from that pain. Your body stores these things, right? So there's all these ways you can seek healing. There's all these ways you can be free from stuff. I do not negate your path, and I do not negate your way. So I'm telling you my way. I'm a lot like Darren Begley, in case you don't know who that is. I'm very like, God, you said, and I get really stubborn on the word of God. So anyways, I go to a couple chiropractors, and I'm like, no. I sat in my car bawling, and I'm screaming, this is not the kingdom way. If I'm running around nothing against chiropractors. If you're a chiropractor, I love you. Thank you for all that you do. There's nothing wrong with trying to seek help, but I was trying to seek it from everyone that I could instead of facing the lie that I believed at 8 years old that as soon as I try something on my own, that it's going to end up in trauma. My body remembered it. So here, this many years later, right? So the last month, it got so bad that I couldn't do anything. Could not work out. I could not do a house tour, nothing. And then I just got mad and fed up. So back to last Sunday, God said, I want you to teach people while you're in it how to create their own miracle. Every single person in this room is looking for some kind of miracle. I don't care if it's just to get out of a pattern or a cycle or a financial or with your child or your spouse or to never feel this doom and gloom on your birthday. Whatever it is. That used to be me. I used to be depressed every birthday. Anyways. And so he said, I want to teach my people to create their own miracle because we just sang about it. My miracle isn't out here and then I go get it and now I carry a miracle. I am the miracle. I possess the miracle. The miracle and me are one and the same. But why is the miracle not showing up in my life? Because I'm looking to Moses and I'm wandering around in the desert waiting for a handout. I won't get political on you, but you guys can take that statement where I wanted to go with it. We are not meant to be people that wait on a handout. That is not who we are. This church, the reason this church is different is because my family and the people that we've been connected to, it's because we are all about empowering sons and daughters to know who they are, to know why they are, and how to operate in the King's way. The King's way. But if you don't know what the King's way is, then you don't even know you're selling yourself short. So as I'm sitting in my car crying, I'm going, no, I'm not going to chase every chiropractor around the nation and go to every doctor. You said you are the great physician. So what is it in me that's not believing the words that you say? Jesus took his Father at his word, and his Father always showed up. So where is he not showing up for me that I'm really just not taking him at his word? Right? So it had to get so bad for Josie that I finally faced the man in the mirror. So last week as I'm crying and talking to you guys about whatever it is that you're white knuckling to surrender it, it's for your own good. I know it feels like protection. I know it feels like security. I know what it's like to be so sad and so depressed that that's the only personality you think you have. That feels more familiar, that the sadness feels more familiar than freedom. I know what that life is about. But I promise you, white knuckling that step does nothing but suppress the resurrection power that we sing about every single Sunday. So in it, something broke for me last Sunday. And even my mom preached, and the best statement I heard last week that she said, without the challenge, how do I know God's real for me? We tend to run from challenge and adversity, but without, it's really there for my good. Without the pain, I don't face me to know, is God real for me? I know he's real for my mom. I know he's real for my dad. He raised her from the dead. I know he's real for this person or that person, or they got a financial miracle, or I'm waiting on mine, but is he real for me? That's where we have to get so fed up, you guys. It's okay to be fed up with the way that your family has been in this cycle and this pattern and the way you speak and the abuse or whatever it is. It's okay to get fed up. And let me also say this real quick. If you're enabling someone because you don't want them to hit rock bottom, that's not God. Because sometimes usually for some people like me, it takes rock bottom for me to come face to face with the man in the mirror. And that's where my freedom is. We're not meant to tolerate it. If I just enable my child, then we're just tolerating that, whatever the real issue is. We do not run from those things. So last week when I did what I did, it was about you, it was about the kingdom, it was about God, but it was also about me. And I knew that as a leader in this place and for my life, I had to make a decision. And I said no. And I even went to Monica's house and cleaned that day. I didn't do much, but I tried because I was like, I'm not going to let this pain tell me who I am anymore. I'm done. I'm going to face the fear. I'm going to face the fear. So for me, it brought a fear of lack. It brought a fear of protection. That as soon as I try to do something on my own again and take those training wheels off, I'm going to have trauma. When I left and moved to India, trauma came. It's a lie. And yes, it will happen if I don't break the belief system. You literally attract whatever you believe. So you have to break the pattern, or else, yes, it will be another relationship like the last one. Just a different face, right? It's an internal job. So I say all this to say, so last week I went home. Oh gosh, I was in so much pain. Oh. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't. And I went from, I know, I've never given like a miracle testimony before. Woohoo! Honestly, when I was little and I heard people give miracle testimonies, I didn't really believe them. Because they're like, twist, do something you didn't do before. And I was like, I think you're just saying that because 500 people are watching you. I'm so sure there's my belief system, right? I didn't trust. But I needed to know God was real for me. So I've been at a solid, if it's a 1 to 10, it's been a 10 solid for days. And I mean, like, I can't think, can't function, whatever. It's a small violin. And then it went to a 2. And then the next day I got up, wasn't really any pain, started having some pain, took a little bit of pain reliever. I'm not saying you can't go to a chiropractor. I'm not saying you can't go to the doctor, especially if you're giving birth to a child. Like, that's totally cool. I'm not against it, but I do want to challenge you in how you believe. Because you can spend a lot of money running around trying to fix a problem. Or you can go to the answer. And he's showing me that all chronic pain, you guys, in this physical body, it's attached to something. It really is. And I know that stinks to hear sometimes, but it's taking the responsibility of the king and the king's way. And his way is not chronic pain. It's just not. His way is not debt. His way is not fear. Fear of lack is huge that I've dealt with. So then you don't take a risk, right? Fear of lack leads to greed, really, overspending, overeating. That all comes from a fear of lack. I saw it with orphans in India. There was a fear they wouldn't have their next meal, so they overate as much as possible, and they were sick. These things, we don't even realize that if you'll deal and face with the real issue, it'll take care of everything else. Instead, we just try to medicate it or, get through it. We're just going to get through the holidays. We're just going to, do our essential oils and rub down some whatever. I love essential oils. I have them in my room. I'm not against them. They are not your sole answer. That's all I'm saying. You guys they're like throwing rocks at me, everyone that has their oils. I love oils. I love them so much. We're not here to ease the pain. We're here to deal with it. So literally this whole week is the first week that I've had in months where I didn't ever lay down. I was able to function. I was able to do things. My pain's been at like a 2. I'm not going to stop there because I'm going to work out again. The point is, I came to face with what was going on inside of me. And I'm creating my own miracle. I'm not looking for anyone else to do it for me. Clarity comes. Truth comes. Right? So as we do offering, an hour later, I challenge you that whatever it is that God wants to show you that you've been white-knuckling, to just give something this morning. I don't care if it's a letter to him or a penny. Our ushers won't read the letter, Brad. Just kidding. Don't read the letters. Just kidding. If it's a penny, I don't care. But sometimes it's the very act of giving something of myself. If you have fear of lack, I challenge you to give every time you feel it. Somewhere, somehow, I don't care. If you have fear that you don't know how you're going to make it to the next, do something opposite. Because it breaks something in you. Because you're saying fear of lack, you will not control how I live my life. So you're breaking a pattern. Once the pattern's broken, it's what I preached on a couple Wednesdays ago, it ain't no thing. Then the money just finds you. The whole point is God's trying to show you where those patterns are so that he can break them and show you that you're free so that you can walk in the abundance of life in every facet. So the kingdom way. There is a king and he has a way. And if I'm not seeing it manifested, then where am I suppressing it? And that's really all I wanted to share. But I wanted to give my own life example. It looks different for you. But you can ask him that. First, identify what's the king's way in your life right now. Maybe just close your eyes. We'll just do this. Just ask him, say, Father, what is your way? What is something in my life that's out of alignment with the king and the king's way? I'm not talking about behavior. I'm not talking about who you lied to or whatever happened. I'm talking about a belief system. I'm talking about if there's pain in your body. I'm talking about if you're in a financial crutch. I'm talking about if there's a pattern that you haven't been able to break for years. I'm talking about if you all constantly feel foggy in the mind and you don't have clarity and it just feels like torment and you can't make a decision. If you're indecisive, if you don't know what your dream is on the earth and you don't have a dream and you don't have ambition to find that dream or live that dream and be that dream and live a life of abundance, whatever that block is, that's what I'm talking about. If you want to know what dreams are in you and you've never asked yourself what dreams are in you, then just ask the king, what am I white-knuckling that's suppressing that? What am I white-knuckling, holding on to so tightly, a belief system so tightly that's blocking that? Because it's there. It is there. The fullness of healing is there. The fullness of manifestation is there. It's right here in this room and every single one of you. You can hear God. You can know what to do in the next step. You can know what to do and what to say. You can know where to run. You can know where to move. You can know how to pursue that dream. You can have the business idea. You can have the healing in your body. You do not have to live in pain, emotional pain, trauma. There are many ways you can seek healing, but there is also a healer, and he is face to face with you, and he wants to manifest in your life. So God, we just thank you for who you are, and we just want to surrender that. And he is patient. If you can't surrender right now, that's okay. That's okay. Just let him expose it. Identifying it is the first step. I'm super stubborn. It takes me years sometimes. I like to enjoy the wilderness for a while, I guess. I don't know. Hey, but there's so much more. So as we just take offering, if you have a penny or a Tic Tac, I don't care. Just come and give it and just let that be a representation of something you're saying, I'm letting go of fear of lack this morning. And it's a constant practice. It's not a one-time thing. I'm letting go of the fear that you don't care enough to heal me. Because you do care. He does care about your well-being. He cares about your dreams. He cares about your family. He cares about your finances. Thank you, God. We're alive with your life.
we're releasing the kids as well. You guys can keep on going.
Your love is great. Your love is strong. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Your love is greater. Your love is stronger. Your love awakens, awakens, awakens me. Oh,
Amen. Powerful, JoJo. Amen. So did y'all hear me? We released the kids. The kids are gone, right? All right. Okay, Xavier, can you throw that up for me? I want y'all to pay attention to this video real quick.
A well-known trap used by hunters to catch monkeys. What they do is they take a coconut, they cut a hole inside the coconut, empty it out, they make the hole just big enough so that the open hand of the monkey can fit in the hole, but the fist cannot. They put some kind of bait, like fruit, inside the coconut to lure the monkey in. They tie the coconut to a tree and then they wait. What they found is that monkeys are greedy. The monkey sticks his little hand inside the coconut to try to pull the fruit out, but can't get it out. And when the hunter approaches, they try even harder to try to pull the fruit out, but they can't do it. And then the monkey gets captured. All that monkey had to do was open his hand, let go of the fruit, and it would have been free. But his greed blinds him. His attachment to the prize is so strong that he sacrifices his life for it. Silly monkeys, right? Maybe not. What is your coconut? What are you holding on to that is trapping you? And if you could just let go, you would be free. Could it be money? Could it be your ideas about happiness that you're holding tightly to? And if only you just let go, then you could truly experience happiness. Could it be your anger? If you forgave that person and let go of your judgment, then you could be free. Or maybe you have an idea in your mind of what your perfect partner looks, acts, and smells like, and that is trapping you. And if you could just let go of the idea, then you would be free to see what might be right under your nose. No matter what the attachment is, isn't it time to let go? Do not sacrifice your happiness, your peace, your life for man's version of a coconut, unless you just like being a monkey.
Now, many of you in here know how I feel about monkeys. No offense, Hunter. She has these cute little monkeys. But I've been in Africa on some places. And we're waiting to cross a border, and the monkeys come and get in the van, take stuff. We had to chase them down for a backpack. I don't like monkeys. They're pesky. They're mean. And they take stuff, right, Renee? Didn't they get in our van? Yes, they did. And they tried to take stuff. So anyway, what am I trying to say about that? What is it, as Josie was talking about, that we are white-knuckling, holding on to, that is blocking and stopping us from moving into the fullness of what's already on the inside of us and what God has given us? We are that monkey holding on because there's a trap, something that looks good, sounds good, feels good, think is going to taste good, and we want to hold on to it when all you have to do, let it go. What you've been white-knuckling, getting through the holidays. What else have you been white-knuckling? If my husband or my wife just Or my kid just? What are the things that we're holding on to and trying to white knuckle through? If I could just get through this place, or if I could just forgive this person, when the fullness of the Godhead is on the inside of you. You sung it earlier that you're a carrier. You're one with Father, one with Father, one with Father, one with Father. Father doesn't hold on to unforgiveness and bitterness and anger. Father doesn't hold on to the little... He doesn't even put the proverbial carrot out there for you to try to grab and hold on to. He doesn't have lack. There's nothing missing and nothing lacking in him. But we are grasping sometimes, just like that monkey, because something looked good, sound good, feel good, taste good. We think we want it. When all you have to do for freedom is to let it go. I talked to you guys about this a few months back. Let the it's go in your life. It's going to happen. Everybody going to have stuff that's going to happen in their life, and it's going to affect them. Josie talked about how when she was an 8-year-old girl, that trauma that happened when she got away from her parents because the training was off and she fell and all the stuff that happened. It's going to happen in your life. Keep living. But what are you going to do with the it? Are you going to hold on to the it and be a victim for the rest of your life? You have a choice. Yep. Or you can let go of the it and allow God to completely heal you, because you're already healed, really. There's already freedom in him. You already have the freedom. You just got to walk in it. You just got to be awakened to it. Amen? So what God starts speaking to me, remember a couple of weeks ago, Pastor Darren was talking about Jesus and his birth. And all of a sudden, I was just taken into that place, what it must have been like in heaven. What it must have been like when they knew he was going to be born. What it must have been like the day that he was born. Can you imagine the celebration? Here's the king showing up on the planet, manifesting. We've heard about it. It's been prophesied about. He agreed to come here before the foundations of the earth, right? Can you just imagine the celebration that was going on in heaven because heaven knew what had just landed on the planet and what was getting ready to happen for mankind and how mankind was getting ready to change atoms, literally DNA, Amen. That mankind was getting ready to be fully empowered. First of all, you already were because you were in him before the foundations of the earth. So then I started imagining what was happening in heaven when I was born. Now just think about that. What was happening in heaven? We all have angels assigned to us. What was that angel thinking? Who is this person, Brad, that just landed on the planet? Who is this person? What is this person gonna do? What does he get to walk in? Do you hear what I'm saying? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And I realized that I saw myself wrong. That I really didn't know who I really am. You know parts, you know things, you've heard stuff, but literally it did a shift in my mind. Because if Jesus is king and the king lives on the inside of me, then who am I? I'm a king and a priest. I was born that way. I just had to be awakened to it. But I was born king. You were born king. Do you hear what I'm saying? What was the celebration about you, Bola? About you, Mary? About you, Wes and Brittany? What was the celebration that was happening? And when I started looking at that and seeing, whoa, I do carry signs, wonders, and miracles like we were singing about. I am oneness with Father. I am the righteousness of Christ. I carry peace. I am peace. I show up in a room and peace happens. I show up in a room and joy is supposed to happen because I carry it. So I should release it, right? So what are the walls? What are the blocks? What are the things that I'm holding on to that's hindering me from being who I really am? One with Christ. There's no separation. There's no separation. What's tethering me to the earth? What's tethering me to be a simple, mere man? We are supposed to be naturally supernatural. So do we really know who we are? If I was born to a single mom. Some of us can look at the circumstances around what we were born into, even the family, but the truth is, you have father's DNA. Their parents were just used to get you here to the planet. But there was a plan. There was a purpose. You're not a mistake. You're not a oops, this one slipped up on us. You were destined and designed to be on the earth at that time that you are here right now. There was a plan and a purpose always. God didn't say, oops, what are we going to do with that one? No, there was a celebration of your life when you entered the planet. So why are we living beneath who we really are? We living like mere men. It was no mistake. You were born with the fullness of the Godhead on the inside of you. You were born with nothing missing, nothing lacking. You were born with everything that you need. I'm not there, guys. I'm still trying to understand how to walk into this, to fully be awakened to it. But we were born with it in the inside of us, but we weren't awakened to it yet. It's time to wake up, body, to who you really are. You came to the planet with a celebration. There was celebration. Just think about that for a moment. That shifts who you think you are. And what I realized is I was seeing wrong. I needed some new lens. It's time to change lens, right? It's time to change perspectives. These were just my thoughts. I could imagine the whispers. Whoa, there he is, there she is. Oh, what this one is going to do? Oh, excitement. I mean, there was a whole lot of us up at the hospital when Najoni was born. We couldn't wait to meet her. We were excited to meet her. And I hear Sheila talking about how she's just looking at her, holding her, thinking, you don't even know, you're not going to even know some of the sorrows that you know what I'm saying? She came to the planet celebrated on the earth. But if you weren't celebrated on the earth, honey, you were celebrated in heaven. Doesn't matter how you got here. There's a plan and a purpose for you, amen? Psalms 139. Can y'all throw that up? Was I supposed to give y'all those scriptures? Sorry. Raven! Hey, Raven. Raven's been off in college. She was one of our youth. Whoop, whoop. Glad you're home, girl. Yeah. Okay, so Psalms 139, starting at verse 13. Can you throw that up for me? You formed my inward parts, and you keep going, and you covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works. Marvelous! That's what heaven says about you. Marvelous are your works. That's who you are. You're marvelous. And that my soul knows very well. Keep going. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret and skillfully wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Keep going. Your eyes saw my substance being yet unformed. And in your book, you guys, if you've been in this church at any time, you know we've been taught about this, that there's a book written about us and that we agreed to it before we came to the planet. There was a book that is about each one of us, what we're to do while we're on the planet. So heaven celebrated you. And in your book, they were all written. The days fashioned for me, when as yet there were none of them. Go, one more. How precious also are your thoughts to me, O God. How great is the sum of them. I don't know if we really realize how precious the thoughts are of God towards us, and how vast they are, and how great they are. Go to Jeremiah 1:5 for me. Is this all right? We're just going to be family today, okay? We'll just talk. Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And that word knew there means deep, intimate connection or relationship. And it says, before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations. Okay, I'll just cut that part, but I'm just saying. I'm not trying to talk about a gift and all that. I know. Don't be laughing at me, Vicky. The point is, before you were born, God set you apart. Before you were born, God knew you. That intimate connection or relationship. So before Jeremiah was here, he was there. He was living out of a future before he got to the planet. And so were we. Okay? So we were in Christ before the foundations of the earth. We're spirit beings. So the question is, who do you say you are? Who do you say you are? What are the governors? Pastor Darren talked about this. The governors are those ruling things that you have. It's your thoughts. Okay? So what are the governors that are ruling and reigning in your life? What are the automatic negative thoughts that come up when you think about who do you say you are? You know, I think I shared with you guys a few weeks ago. I was going through some things and God asked me the question, would you marry you? And what would it look like for you to marry you? And every one of us sitting here could go, oh, I don't know my man. Because you know you. And you think about your faults, your whatever you think about. That's soulish, guys. That's the old man Adam. Why not the first thing that come to your mind is I'm the righteousness of Christ. I'm a good catch. I'm the joy of the Lord. I'm the peace of the Lord. Why not those thoughts? No, the first thing we think about is, oh, you're going to marry that someone who's X amount of pounds overweight. You're going to marry that who doesn't have this amount of money in the 401k. You're going to marry that one that hasn't accomplished this or that. Or is that what I'm going to marry? Is that what I'm going to walk down the aisle with and commit and make a covenant with? What are the thoughts that you have of you? Because that ain't who God is. It's not. You got to change your vision of who you are. But do you hear what I'm saying? I had to go back and look at, I'm going to be with me in sickness and in health. What does that mean to me? That means that when you try to get into your little pity party, okay, you can have it, but I'm going to get on your side and say, girl, this is who you really are. Get up out that bed. It's a choice. I'm going to marry you in sickness and in health and good and rich or poor. I'm already rich because Christ has made me rich. Do you hear what I'm saying? Because Josie talked about how we create. We are creators. We have it on the inside of us. We can create money if you go and listen and God starts speaking to you. I'm telling you, there's been 3 inventions. I see them now. God gave them to me, and I did not move. I see them. They're selling them. 3, pissed off at myself. Oh, can I say that word in church? I said it now. So what I'm saying is what was on the inside of me that I was holding on to, that when the vision came, God was speaking to me and giving me something, and it was a great idea because somebody else heard it in the atmosphere. They ran with it. What caused me not to? It's not that there was a lack, because there wasn't a lack. God gave it to me. Can I create again? Absolutely, because the Creator's inside of me, and I'm a co-creator with Him. So what's holding me back from creating? Do you hear what I'm saying? You don't have a lack. So yes, I'm going to walk down the aisle and I'm going to marry you and I'm going to be in covenant with you because me, you, and the Godhead, we won. I'm going to marry me. And I'm going to see me different. Do you hear what I'm saying? These are the things that me and Father have been talking about. What are the governors that are keeping you bound? What is that little thing that you're holding on to like that monkey? What is suppressing your identity? He started dealing with me about identity crisis. We need to refocus on God's original intent for us. Go back to the original intent. Refocus. We create our own bondages, guys. It's the lens, again, that we see through. We create the bondage. We create the pictures. We create the images. We create it. It ain't no devil. It's your words talking to you. Your words disqualifying you. Your words telling you what you can and you can't do. It's your words. It's your thoughts. It's your whispers. That's the fruit that you're eating. That fruit will cause you to not move forward. That fruit will cause you to stumble. That fruit of your own thoughts, you did it, will cause you not to move and to be all that you've been created to be and all that you've been created to do. I'm not talking at you, honey. This is me. God's saying, girl, let me tell you. What's up? My sister can tell you. There's been times I cry, oh, do you know? I call her up and I'm all embarrassed about something financially. My sister is a business person, big time. And her and her husband, they know how to lay foundations of a business, make it right. She's CPA. She's got it going on. Not that her husband does, he does too. He's a city councilman. It's my brother-in-law right there in Missouri City. But anyway, what I'm saying, she knows business, okay? She's great. And I've called her and said, Sherwin. And she's like, girl, we're going to cry later. Even when I was getting ready to go, now she didn't say that about financial stuff, but she said that when I was getting ready to go have brain surgery and we were sitting in the doctor's office and he's telling us all this stuff. And she said, girl, we're going to cry later. Pull them bootstraps up. Let's keep it moving. But see, that's the same thing that I'm saying, even about business or about anything else. That's who I'm marrying. I'm pulling those bootstraps up and saying, girl, you're going to cry later. Get it together, kids. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's time to quit using excuses. Amen. It is time to stop living in that place of excuses. You guys, do y'all remember the ugly duckling? It was when the ugly duckling saw the reflection in the water. When he saw his reflection in the water, that truth caused the swan to come forth. So what reflection are you looking at, the man in the mirror, as Josie talked about? What are you seeing? Psalms 23 says, he leads me beside the still waters and he restores my soul. Or can this be translated, by the waters of reflection, my soul remembers who I am. I'm going to say that again. By the waters of reflection, my soul remembers who I am, who I was before I came to the planet, who I agreed to be. Do you hear what I'm saying? Simba, hit him on top of the head. Look again, boy. I just see Simba. Look again, boy. And then he began to see who he really was. He was a king. You were born king and priest. I'm hitting you on top of the head this morning and say, look again, sons and daughters. Look again and see the reflection of who you really are. It's the reflection of Father, because you and him are one. There is no separation of you and the Godhead. Look again and remember who you are. Look again. You don't see the first time. Look again. You are the expression of the greatest idea that ever was. Did you hear me? You are the expression of the greatest idea that ever was. God wrote the script of your DNA when he knitted you together in your mother's womb. The code of that DNA is Christ in you. Christ in you. Everything that you need. The fullness of the Godhead on the inside of you. So again, I say to you, what causes the identity crisis in us? Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 30. Talk about David a minute. This is something I've been meditating on. Just a part of the scripture, but I want to read longer part. Let's start at verse 1, 1 Samuel 30. Oh my goodness, it happened again. And I tell y'all the it's were going to happen. Now it happened when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites had invaded the south in Ziklag and attacked Ziklag and burned it with fire. Keep going. And had taken captive the women and those who were there from small to great. Because see, David and his men, they had been off fighting. They came back and they found this situation. And they did not kill anyone, but they carried them away and they went their way. Keep going. So David and his men came to the city, and there it was. It happened. There it was. It was burned with fire, and their wives, their sons, their daughters had been taken captive. Go to the next one. Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices, and they wept until they had no power to weep. Keep going. And David's two wives, I'm not going to try to say, the Jezreelites, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal, the Carmelite, all this light stuff, had been taken captive. Keep going. Now, David was greatly distressed. See, in his soul, okay, he was greatly distressed. For the people spoke of stoning him because the soul of all the people, okay, was grieved. Every man for his son and his daughters, but David strengthened himself in his God. David strengthened himself in the Lord. Keep going. Then David said to Abiathar the priest, on and on, bring me the ephod here to me. And Abiathar brought the ephod to David. One more. Let's see if I want to go another one. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, this is it right here, guys. Shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered, he is God, answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail you shall recover all. So what does that have to do with us? You shall pursue this band, you shall overtake them, and without fail, you shall recover all. And so when I was meditating on this, God started speaking to me about the governors in my lives. Monica, I want you to be on the offense. I want you to pursue them. You will overtake them, and you will recover all. You will go back to that original intent. Because you're going to deal with those governors that have governed your thoughts and have caused you to look at yourself different than who I say you are. And so in that, David is encouraging himself. Now see, that's the process, right? Something happens to us, we go through something, and then we're upset. We have to go through a process of encouraging ourselves in the Lord. You may weep, pull them bootstraps up, like my sister say, and keep it moving. We can cry later. Do you hear what I'm saying? Their soul, they were crying out. Now, why were they doing that? Because their wives and their children and their cattle, everything was taken and the city was burned down, y'all. How many would say, that's a problem? That's something to cry over. It's a problem. But instead of staying right there in that place of crying and weeping, because that ain't going to solve anything. It may make you feel good for a minute, but it really doesn't solve anything. It's almost like David said, hey, let me remember who I am. I'm a king. Bring me the ephod. I'm going to go hear God. Remember who you are when circumstances happen in your life. You begin to say, okay, wait, who am I? I'm a king and a priest. I'm going to go hear Father because that is my privilege and that is my honor. I can hear him and then I could do what he says do. And he says you shall pursue, overtake, and recover all. See, the Amalekites were rude, crude, mean people. They were mean. And they didn't ever fight fair. They were cruel. They committed acts unashamedly. So you can imagine what was going through the men's mind of what could be happening to their wives and their children. Because they took them alive. Can you imagine somebody take your kid? You're imagining, what could be happening to them. So that's upsetting. But David remembered who he was. And David inquired of the Lord. And then Father said, you're going to have victory, honey, because victory is already in you. So you're going to release the victory. Let me tell you, Amalekites are the descendants of Esau. And Amalek, where they got their name from, guess what it symbolizes? An eye. And it also means doubt. And it means severed eye. And it means cut off or chop off or to sever. Amalekite mean spiritual blindness. This is who had stolen their children and their wives. These are the governors, spiritual blindness. These are the governors, an eye that's not seeing correctly, that's been severed. Half vision. Do you get what I'm saying? This is who came and who stole. His mama, her name was Timnah. Her name means to restrain, to withhold, to keep back, to refrain from. So this is what is stealing in the governors over our lives. Restraint, we think we have some lack, right? Refrain from something, chopping off. That's not our Father. But that's who came and stole the wives. But God said, you shall pursue those things that have cut your eye off. You should pursue those things that have caused you to look different. You shall pursue those. Do you hear what I'm saying? You should pursue those things that have severed you from what you are supposed to do. The Amalekites are crazy people. In Numbers 14, they attacked Israel while they were in the desert on their way to the promised land. Are you hearing spiritually what I'm saying? In Judges 3:13, the Amalekites teamed up with the Moabites and they attacked Israel again. In Judges 6:3, they invaded, and whenever the Israelites planted their crops, they came and they devoured that land. The Amalekites did this. They occupied Israel again, but this time they were held back by Gideon in Judges 6 and 7. They proved through the years that they were going to make war with Israel and with their God. So what am I saying to you? The Amalekites have tried to prove through the years, the ites, those thoughts, those governing your life, that they can stop you, block you, turn you around, cut you off, change your vision about who God says that you are and who you say you are. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes. Even Saul, in 1 Samuel 15, it was the Amalekites that Saul was supposed to take completely out. Now, David is dealing with something that should have been taken out before. God told him to kill them all. Kill everything, everybody. And Saul did not do it. He saved the king. And he saved some of the choicest of the flock. And he lied and said he was going to use them to sacrifice. You know, he kept the spoils. But God didn't tell him to keep the spoils. God told him to kill it all. And it cost him his anointing. It cost him his kingship. That's when God said, I'm going to find me another king. Do you hear what I'm saying? What are your Amalekites costing you? The lack of wanting to deal with them. What is it costing you? Do y'all hear me? Again, it causes you to see yourself in a certain way. You guys, we are in union with the Godhead. Again, I say to you, what are we tethered to? That's blocking, hindering, stopping. Ooh, it's 12 o'clock. I'm going to hurry. What is causing lack of vision, severed vision, things that are cut off, things that are causing us to be disqualified in our own minds? Instead of David coming from a place of pity, coming from a place of, oh, I got to protect myself, they're trying to stone me. What did David do? He sought the Lord. He asked for the ephod. He began to worship. He began to encourage himself in the Lord. And he heard, he pursued, and he overcame. And it was interesting because when he heard that, then the men and him, they go out, and they're tired, y'all. They've been fighting. They had been fighting. They are tired. They come back, and this has happened, and they're upset. And so they go to pursue. There's an Egyptian found. And that Egyptian had been with the Amalekites, and the Egyptian was the one that led them to where they were supposed to go. What does Egyptian mean? The world. The world. So don't discredit things that you're going through in your life that's happening in your world, because you never know if that's not your Egyptian taking you on a journey to where you're supposed to really be. Because you mature as you go through the journey. You don't despise the journey that God gives you. You guys, just recently, y'all know me. Y'all know that I do home tending. And for those that came and helped clean that last house, 3-story house, that I had to move out of, y'all know I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much. I meant to have cards, but they're packed. This is the first time that I had to move into a temporary spot that I didn't have another home to tend immediately. Now I've gotten calls this week. I'm like, where were you last week? I am not going to pay more money to move right this minute. You know, I'm going to stay settled through the holidays. But anyway, it was the journey of even that. It was a journey of packing up stuff and looking at what do I need for the next place and not. Sometimes we have stuff that we like that we're trying to hold on to that God's saying get rid of. And I was in this process of packing up. And you know what? I could have been mad at God. You didn't give me the next place. You always give me the next place. He said, I did give you the next place. It's just not what you wanted it to look like. The next place was a fully furnished apartment. Really nice in the Galleria area. One of my friends set it up. I could have had me saying, Heather, can I sleep on your sofa? No, just kidding. Or going to my sister, can I sleep on your sofa? But God did provide. It just didn't look like what I wanted it to look like. So sometimes when we're going through a journey, there's things that we overlook and we discredit or we negate because it doesn't look like what we want it to look like. It doesn't feel like, sound like, taste like what we want it to look like. I wanted to say, God, you've been taking me from one house to the next, and it's been better and better each time. Some of that was my pride. Look at what I got. And the reason why I started doing this, after I got into it actually, because at first it was for a different reason, but as I started doing it, I thought, ooh, when could this be a business? You know, where I have home tending business and I can make money. And so I wanted to know, what is it like when you have to, what are the things you're going to face and all that stuff. But somebody say process. Processes are not easy to go through, but you don't want to stop the process because the process is a transition that's taking you from one place to the other. It's not a transition that can harm you necessarily. It's maybe a transition that doesn't look like what you want it to look like. I'm thinking of transitions like there's transitions when you're remodeling your home or you're remodeling a room. Things are chaotic when you're doing that. It's dusty. It's messy. You got crew coming in and working, and you got to work with people, and they're making mistakes. And do you hear what I'm saying? It gets messy. And that's when we want to go, I tap out. I'm telling you, don't tap out of the transition, because it's the place that's taking you from one place to the next that God has for you, and it's a good thing. Because he's not going, oops, she didn't have a place, another house to tend. He ain't doing that. He knew where I was supposed to be. And God has already given me favor with the owner. It's awesome. I'm learning from this woman already. I just moved in a week ago. She called me the very next day because I had an issue with the movers, y'all. They tried to double charge me. Well, they did. And I was just emotionally spent, and I let them. Today, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, you told me this price. I ain't giving you no more. But at the time, I couldn't do that. I was just like, just get it away. Just go away. Put it in the thing. But what am I saying? The process, the journey is not always easy. And the process looks different for each one of us because God's teaching us each different things. Right? And it's a maturing process. It matures you. We don't like it. David could have tried to run away and self-protect. They were ready to stone him. You caused my wife and my children. I was out fighting with you, trying to win another thing. I got these spoils, but I come back and my wife and my children and everything else is missing. I'm finna take you out, buddy. But David didn't try to self-protect and run away. David sought Father. David began to encourage himself in the Lord. So don't self-protect because it causes disalignment. I told you guys that when, this knee thing, it ain't mine. I'm getting it fixed on Wednesday. I'm telling you, I'm having surgery. This sucker is going to be fixed. And, I wish I didn't have to have surgery, but I'm tired of hurting. I have prayed, I have stood, I have believed, I have pushed out some of the pain. Yes, I have. But I am going to that doctor, and I'm having surgery, and this knee is being fixed, and I can't wait. That's my process. Do you hear what I'm saying? And when I try to, when your knee is hurting and you have a torn meniscus, now I know I have a huge torn meniscus, then the knee was shifting. And it was not being aligned. The knee was not in its proper place. And the pain would be excruciating when the knee would turn. And then these muscles now are trying to protect. But when I would go to the chiropractor and he would adjust me and put me back in alignment, muscle has memory. So those muscles now that were pulling and trying to overcorrect because my knee was out of alignment don't need to do that anymore. Then the pain there was even worse than the knee being out of place. What are you saying? Then that would cause my foot to get out of alignment. And the chiropractor would have to adjust my foot. It would cause my calf muscles to try to go together and protect different. Then it would cause my back, it would cause my pelvic to move forward. And what I told you about that, if a woman was trying to get pregnant and her pelvic was tilted, it's very difficult for her to get pregnant. Not only is it very difficult for her to conceive, if she carries the baby, sometimes they miscarry. Okay? And then when they give birth, they got to fix it. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's very hard to give birth if your pelvic is tilted. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is there's journeys in our lives. When we try to self-protect and not go through the transition for the change, we overcompensate in other areas that our body wasn't meant to do. And when we do that, try to self-protect, we get completely out of alignment. And we don't conceive. We don't conceive properly, and if we do, because we're out of alignment and we're so stuck with our old process that we want to hang on to like that monkey trying to get in that coconut, we hold on to them and we miscarry. You guys, that's living by the old nature. That's living by the old Adam. Do you hear what I'm saying? God's saying, let the it's go. They're going to happen. Quit self-protecting. Quit trying to hold on to those years of stuff that you think is holding you together when really and truly it's a facade. It's causing disalignment. It's causing you not to walk in the fullness of who you really are. It's causing you to see yourself different. It's causing your vision to be cut off. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's causing you not to see who God's really created you to be. It causes us to have preconceived ideas. Does that make sense? Are y'all hearing me? Preconceived ideas can take you out. When God was talking to me about marrying myself, I had to look at expectations that we would put on a potential spouse. What expectations would I put on that man or his family or whatever? What are the preconceived ideas? Preconceived ideas will jack you up. And it will cause your relationship not to be right because I'm expecting Brad to be a certain way and to act a certain way because that's my preconceived ideas because I'm trying to meet a need in me. It's about me. I'm trying to meet a need in me through him by wanting him to be a certain way and to act a certain way. Well, that will always be a recipe for destruction. Because that ain't who he is or whoever. You understand? Even during the holidays, you're expecting family to act a certain way. They ain't. They're going to be who they are. I remember when I was a kid, you guys, there was this, I think I was in the 3rd grade, and it was this poem. I don't know why I still remember it. It's called Be What You Am. And it said, the sunflower ain't no raisin and the melon ain't no rose. Why they all so crazy to be something else that grows? Just stick to the place that you're planted and do the best yours can. Don't yo be what yo ain't, just yo be what yo is. So what am I saying in that? Be who God created you to be. Don't you be what you ain't. What you think you are, what you're saying about yourself that's hindered and blocked and cut off by the Amalekites. Take control of those things and deal with them because it's time to change the way we think. It's time to think heavenly. It's time to think as a son. It's time to walk in true sonship. Do y'all hear me? Does this make sense? Don't yo be what yo ain't, just yo be what yo is. And just because it looks a certain way doesn't mean that it's right. Sunflower ain't no raisin and the melon ain't no rose. Don't be crazy to try to be something else that grows. You have the incorruptible seed on the inside of you. So what's the ground that seed is being planted in? You're the soil. You're the good soil. Sheila talked about that last week. You're the good soil. And you're going to produce after your own kind. You have the seed of Father. That's what you're to produce. Don't be something else. You ain't no melon. And you ain't no dried up raisin. I ain't dried up nothing, y'all. I refuse to get old and be dried up and wrinkled. No, I am not doing it. And I ain't having no gray hair. If y'all see me with gray hair, go, Monica, something ain't right. My grandmother is 94 years old. You will never see gray hair on her. She does not do it. She's like, baby, no. No, baby. No, baby. I ain't wear no. She wears a wig or she wears weave, and that sucker is black. And we go on trips together, and my grandmother gonna wear her lipstick. Now, baby, a woman doesn't go out the house without her lipstick on. That's just not right. She refuses to be young. Her hands are prettier than mine. I'm like, what's up with that? She said, baby, it's just olive oil. Just olive oil. I just use some olive oil. I just got my grandma in there. Anyway, what am I saying to you? Don't let temporary uncomfortability, being uncomfortable temporarily, cause you to derail. Because the journey is going to be there and God's got you on it. Transition is going to happen in all of our lives because we want to be mature, right? We don't want to be stuck in an old place. So transition is going to happen. So don't allow that feeling of being uncomfortable cause you, or don't hold on to what that monkey was trying to hold on to. Things that the Amalekites, the thoughts in your mind, try to attack you with. Don't allow that to hinder, stop you from looking at the man in the mirror, as Josie said, and seeing the true you, the true reflection of who you are. Because that's who you are, right? There's nothing you can do to make him love you more and nothing you can do to make him love you less. He is love, therefore he just loves you. Period. Okay? And it's time for the identity crisis to stop in sons and daughters of Father. Right? If you have an identity crisis, you don't know who you are, who do I say I am? Ask yourself tonight, who do I say that I am? There was a celebration about you, a celebration of your birth. You are more powerful than you think you are. You are more awesome than you can even imagine. Walk in who you are. True reflection of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. See beyond the limitations of your human self. Get rid of the disillusionments. And allow Father to show you who you really are. And when circumstances come up, grab the ephod and begin to worship. And remember who you are, that you're a king. You're a king. Get in that place and and you let the Lord pray through you and build yourself up in your most holy faith. They got stones. Bring me the ephod. I don't care about the stones. I'm going to worship my Father, and he's going to give me the plan of attack, and I'm going to attack, and I'm going to recover all. So what you have lost in the last season because you did not see yourself correctly, because you saw yourself as grasshoppers in their eyes, I'm telling you that the giant's head are coming off in this season. I'm telling you that the eyeglasses are being shifted right now, that you will see yourself the way he sees you. Who do you say you are? Not who do men say I am. Who do you say you are? So, Father, I thank you that we're walking in the fullness of who we are. Musicians, y'all can come up. Josie, come up. Where's Joe? Jojo. Father, we're not going to stop the process. We're not going to get derailed off of the journey. We're going to grow. We're going to grow. And we're going to be who you say we are. We're going to look at the man in the mirror. And we're going to see that we look just like our Father. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. So I changed my lens. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. So I changed changing. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. My vision is changing. My vision is shifting. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. My vision is shifting. My vision is changing. My vision is shifting. My vision is changing. One more time. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. I look just like my daddy. My vision is shifting. My vision is changing. Yeah.
God, I thank you for eyes to see and ears to hear. That's already who we are. That we already have eyes to see and we already have ears to hear. God, because we have your eyes and we have your ears. God, we just let go of these belief systems and these filters that have blocked who we really are and who you really are. We just let walls fall. We just trust again. Whatever process we find ourselves in, there we are, and we will trust you in the midst of it. That we do not have to prolong pain and suffering. We do not have to prolong pain and suffering. God, you thank you that you created us to be free.
Yeah.
That is all that we were created to be, is free. Not partially free, not just a little bit free, but completely free. Completely free. That we don't have to self-protect and self-preserve. That there is peace and joy and rest in you. And God, that we can just let go of these negative thoughts about ourselves, like Monica said. And that earthly experiences will stop suppressing heavenly truth. That we would let go of earthly experiences that have suppressed heavenly truth. And we let you be you. Thank you, God, for what you're doing in our lives, in our homes. We just receive it. Amen.
Amen. You are released.